Accuracy always on my mind. I'm stacking knowledge, no time to waste. Gotta invest smart, gotta keep up the pace. I'm reading books, learning all the tricks, studying the market, making calculated picks.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again with another crypto portfolio update. These are going to get more efficient, more focused, a little bit more on the creative side, I guess. Considering that right now we're running basically one play, which is buying Bitcoin. You know, we can't get away from it. We're trying to get as much on much of it as we can, but we are also adding a little context, which is amplified Bitcoin exposure. That's one of the themes for the year of 2026 moving forward. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to have a little bit more to talk about, but should be breeze. We should be able to jet right through these moving forward. We are back. We are on schedule. We are on time. Back from the holidays. Hope you guys had a good holiday. We're in 2026. We made it. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and make sure you guys hit that like button as you're filing in here. If you've been here more than twice, especially, I'd like to request that you subscribe. And for those of you that are already in the wolf pack, that are already of like mind, that are already rocking with me on this journey and hopefully getting some insight, maybe a few gems that I'm dropping along the way as I tell you what I am doing, not what I did, what I am doing, because I am in the same grind that you're in. I might be doing some things a little bit different from you. So check it out and see what you think. For those of you that are already in the Wolfpack, that are already subscribed, I ask that you share the video, get me onto the algorithm. Also, feel free to do responses, clip this up. Just make sure to tag me in it so that I can respond to you. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it. So let me go ahead and micro machine myself down here in the corner. It's been a little bit. As we are sitting and recording today, we are back down. We bounced basically just under 95K today. I don't know that I actually saw it hit 95, but we were definitely above 94 and doing some damage. We are back down at $92,506.36 at the time of this recording, with Ethereum at $3,251.66 at the time of this recording, which puts us at Bitcoin dominance at 56.6%, with Ethereum dominance up to 12%. Ethereum gas fees are at 0.041 Gwei. Goodness great. That is next to nothing. I might have to go move some stuff around on Ethereum, some stuff on chain, because I still got stuff to move over. Yeah. Shout out to CoinGecko for this wealth of information and giving us some of the good news on this January 6th in the evening. Obviously, you guys will be catching this on Hump Day, January 7th. If you're not having the week you want, it's the middle of the week. It's not too late to make that adjustment, to make that change. Moving on, we got the top 3 trending coins at the time of the recording. Number 1 being Destra Network. Number 2 being Monad. Number 3 being Lighter. Moving right along, we're going to get to the top 5 gainers and losers of the day. Now, before we start, as we always do, we start with the gainers because we like to talk about the win. We like to have the dessert before we have the dinner. I hope that everybody gets the chance to have one of your positions basking in the winner's circle as one of the top 5 winners in the last 24 hours. And I hope that it is on a triple plus digit day. So that way you're winning. I hope your lottery ticket gets punched. Starting off, we have at number 1, at rank 676, Destra Network, with a gain of 70.4% in the last 24 hours. At number 2, we have at rank 783, CZ's Dog, with a gain of 49.5% in the last 24 hours. At number 3, we have at rank 578, Chintai, with a gain of 30.4% in the last 24 hours. At number 4, we have at rank 164, for Jasmy coin, Jasmy coin, with a gain of 25.4% in the last 24 hours. And last but not least, rounding out the top 5 gainers in the last 24 hours, we have at rank 584 Yay Finance with a gain of 21.1% in the last 24 hours. Moving on over to the top losers. Now, before we get into this list, I want you to know personally that I hope that you are only experiencing your coin being on this list under one of 2 circumstances. Circumstance number 1, it is a coin that you've been looking at entering into a position on. And as you've been looking, the price has been a little bit too high. You've been a little bit hesitant. You don't want to catch the top of the run. And now you're getting a tasteful pullback where now you're getting the opportunity to start your position. That's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2 would be you are actively dollar cost averaging a position, which we do that a lot over here because I'm not rich. You're probably not rich. And we just don't have a hefty $10,000, $20,000, $1,000 laying around to just throw into a position. I mean, I know I don't. Being fully invested, now I do every 2 weeks when that direct deposit hits. I got a little bit over. I got you know what I'm saying? I got a little bit of money to throw around. But we're direct depositing into a portfolio. So it's not the same. But as we dollar cost average, ending up on the top losers list, if it's a position and the fundamentals haven't changed and it's still a great investment, it's just mispriced. People are panicking that day. Maybe some people taking profits. I'm hoping that you get a juicy pullback so that way you can buy a little bit extra. That dollar cost average amount stretches a little bit further. You get a few more coins in the coffer. So let's go ahead and get into it. At number 1 on the top 5 losers of the day, we have at number 1 at rank 470, Brevis, with a loss of 49.6%. At number 2, we have at rank 493, Tron Bank, with a loss of 36.6%. At number 3, we have at rank 513, Audiera, with a loss of 19.6%. At number 4, we have at rank 936, USCR, with a loss of 9.8%. Now, this being a live feed, we have some movement going on, and apparently somebody made a buy on that dip, which technically makes this 5 and not 4, but we'll go ahead and read it in the order that it's listed here. At number 5, we have at rank 523, Rave DAO, with a loss of 17.4% in the last 24 hours. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump right on over into the portfolio here. Pretty simple. The reserves are sitting at $7,140.97. We are down on the day $123.35. It's going to be great. We're going to be okay. Overall, so far, profit and loss, total profit and loss after all the dust is settled, we are at $422.18. We are down 5.6%. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're building up that Bitcoin cash reserve. We are buying the dips, any and all dips. 5% dip, that actually isn't that bad for anything in crypto. We're buying every 2 weeks. We're getting a buy-in now. Anytime we get extra money, we're getting a buy-in. We had some bonus money come in thank the W2 gods. And being fully invested, we've got our direct deposits parsed up, and a chunk of it does go into my Strike account, which gets auto converted because that portion of my paycheck I am getting partially paid in Bitcoin. A lot of people would ask, well, since you're fully invested, why wouldn't you just go all in on Bitcoin if you're all in on Bitcoin? Well, I have to go to work every day, and I don't want to have, and the key word there is have to go to work every day. I don't like that. I don't like the have to part. I don't mind the work. I don't like the have to. And the have to actually makes me not like my job. Makes me not like any job because you have to go there. And then if the person that you work for also knows you have to go there, then you're subject to a bunch of stuff that just doesn't really bode well with my personality. And you really can't say, I'll tell you where you can take this job and shove it and go home. And that doesn't sit right with me. So what we do is we decide, we've made the transition. We've been over the past, I would say this process started a decade ago, a little bit over a decade ago. I've been in Bitcoin for about 13 years. And, me taking that initial orange pill was the start of me working towards this point. And then I'd say a little over a year ago, because I've been in high yield for over a year, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to leave work or earlier, anywhere close to the timeline that I'm wanting to not have to go to work and be work optional / retired any sooner than I wasn't going to be able to do it as soon as I wanted to. So I had to find something more efficient. And the issue that I ran into is the income piece. Also getting myself positioned to be able to leverage my Bitcoin. That's also a big part of my strategy for getting out. That's one of the tools that I'm looking to use. And that's where the reserves come in. And it's almost to the point to where I'm strongly considering completely liquidating my Ethereum position and then rebuying the Ethereum position, to be honest, just to get me over that hump. Like I'm thinking about, getting rid of some Ethereum and converting that to Bitcoin, because that'll be a step forward, but I won't do that until my consumer debt's paid. And the reason being is if I'm going to make a move like that, then I want to be able to leverage my Bitcoin immediately. And I don't want to have to manage that leverage on top of my consumer debt, because now I'm using debt, but I haven't cleaned up the debt mess. I don't want to have to go that route. One of the things that I would consider doing is, like, the last 10,000 of debt, the first leverage of my Bitcoin that I use is to just go ahead and clear that out. I would consider that. That'd be a good one. But yeah, as it sits right now, I am not in the space to do that. And so, we're going to ride the run. Hopefully Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin. And when that time comes, if we make that conversion, I also have my Solana bag that I could do that with as well, which isn't as big, but I guess if we're going to start liquidating positions, we would liquidate everything up to the Ethereum and then only liquidate what we needed to, and then probably put us in a position where we would go and start actively buying Ethereum again. I would do that to go ahead and continue back on that journey. And then we would be shifting out of the Bitcoin purchases and, buying back the Ethereum that we had to sell off. I don't know. It's something that I'm mulling around. But as we sit here in the reserves, we are buying Bitcoin ravenously, because I want to get to that point, and that'll be when this reaches $20,000 is when we will be at that point. And actually, I might have two portfolios and just have this be a Bitcoin reserve portfolio versus everything I'm not selling, because this portfolio, the way that we are looking at it, it is very focused, and there's some other plays that we're going to have off of here that are kind of a big deal. Now, the other big deal is the amplified Bitcoin leverage. So as we can see, we are down 5.6% in this portfolio. Now, this is also carrying over the Bitcoin we acquired last year. Moving on, we're going to be showing my Schwab account. Now, this portfolio, we're not going to talk about everything in my long-term holdings. We're only going to talk about our crypto-related long-term holdings, which actually is basically everything but three things. As it sits right now, the positions that we have, ASST, we've been buying that. Oh, goodness gracious. It got up to 104 today. Good Lord. And I got 600 more of these to buy. That sucks. 26.28% jump for Strive. Bitcoin Treasury Company. Now, how are we playing this? We have a few Bitcoin Treasury companies that we're going to be adding to this portfolio. A technology company and a Bitcoin company, and we're going to have a conversation about that. Now, I will be doing a breakdown on most of these positions. So next up, we've got Tesla. I got my first share today. We're doing a play on that. Tesla does hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Not a whole lot, but they have it. So that counts as a Bitcoin company also, in my opinion. It's Bitcoin adjacent. It doesn't move in tandem with Bitcoin. It kind of does its own thing. But we actually got our first whole share, which is awesome. And then we have our Bitcoin company, XXI, and the difference between them and, say, a MicroStrategy or a Strive is they are looking to build businesses and are not just focused on leveraging money to buy Bitcoin. They're actually looking to build businesses, to provide value, to have something that produces income with which they buy Bitcoin. So 21 Capital, shout out to Jack Mahler. I am actively dollar cost averaging into this position. The price moved around on me a little bit. I was buying it at above $10. It dipped down pretty low off of that 10. This is a long-term hold for me, so buying under 10 is fine. As it sits right now, that is at a 1.2% gain. Tesla, highly volatile. It's down 4.21%, and by the time we get to the next share, we'll see what that looks like. We're also holding MSII, which is an income position. There will also be TSII in here as an income position for Tesla. And one of the things that I did that was kind of accidental was I sold out of TSII to buy the Tesla share. Moving forward, I'm going to keep one share in here because I don't want it to look like I'm high frequency trading these positions. But this is how I'm saving up to buy the larger shared deals. So the way that's going to work is my standard purchases of stock will go, and it'll be split between MSII and TSII. And then once it hits the metric to where I can buy a full share, I will just buy a full share. So this will be converted over to a share of MicroStrategy. That's on my list. I have, as far as my list goes of companies that I'm looking to have in my long-term holdings, it's basically what you see here as far as the crypto related assets go. I have that I haven't purchased yet. I have Metaplanet, which I'm going to have to probably start saving up for in another fund as well, because I refuse to buy under $500-600 because it's international and there's a fee on it. But they do have a strategic monetary advantage in how they're acquiring Bitcoin over American companies. So I do want that in my portfolio. Bitminer is also a company that I'm wanting to get in my long-term portfolio, just because I am crypto backed, and that kind of gives me that a little bit added performance of having a company that's focused on Ethereum, which is my second largest holding in crypto. What was the other one? I think that's it. It's MetaPlanet and MicroStrategy, which isn't in here, but MicroStrategy is my next focus because I do owe myself 10 shares of MicroStrategy because that was my original baseline. So I have to get, that's on my goal for this year, is to get my 10 shares back into this portfolio. And yeah, like so far so good. But as you can see, like we're having a pretty good move on Bitcoin here, and Strive has had a phenomenal pump. XXI is not having the pump that Strive is, but again, I'm diversifying amongst those shares. And then Tesla, Tesla's going to do what Tesla's going to do. It's its own thing. And that's a long-term play in and of itself, because that's going to be a major contender just in the future in general. Now, I have a couple of other non-crypto related long-term holdings that'll be filtering their way in here eventually. But as far as the amplified Bitcoin exposure, that's what we're looking at. So that's basically the portfolio. That's what I got for you. We're going to get to the conversation of the evening, which is, was 2025 the Bitcoin bear market? And the quick and dirty, I don't know. I don't care either, because I don't look in those smaller time frames. So Bitcoin being down, my net worth, me not hitting my net worth metric over the year of 2025. While I don't like not hitting my goals, I would have liked to have gotten closer, but having a net worth sitting over $250,000 and most of it's tied to Bitcoin is not too bad of a space to be in. I don't look at windows of around 12 months. Like I don't want to hold something for a year and then just be like, oh, like I was trying to get rich this year. I'm not trying to get this rich this year. Like I have timelines. Like I know that I should at minimum be work optional, not having to work, and or retiring or finding something that's less impactful on my body so that I can destroy my body doing things I want to do versus destroying my body going to work every day. And I understand a lot of people are like, oh, like, what's that? Like, I'm a blue collar worker. Like, I'm on my feet. That's part of the reason I'm in great shape. Like, I go to the gym on top of being on my feet and active all day. And then I also don't eat like a crazy person. So for me, it's like, as you get older, all them tendons, those joints, all that stuff, your bones, they get weaker. Like it doesn't necessarily get stronger. Now, going to the gym, I'm trying to get stronger, but it's just, you're putting yourself at more risk if you're just banging on your body all the time. And so I don't want to do that. It's kind of a priority for me to not have to go to work. Now, the Bitcoin holdings and the amplified Bitcoin exposure, those are second order and third order contingencies, because I ever intend to sell my Bitcoin. The amplified Bitcoin holdings would be the first sell before I sold my Bitcoin. Now, after we get to a certain point in that account, I will turn the margin on in it, so that way I can borrow from it as opposed to having to create a taxable event and sell. I will have Bitcoin, a portion of it, on strike, so that way I can borrow from it without incurring a taxable event in which I would sell. So there's a bunch of, and then the income portfolio is actually what is getting me at this juncture to being able to retire early, because that's the income flow that I'm building. My W-2 is what's currently feeding those things. Now, eventually you get the income high enough, the income feeds those things. And then, oh, well, like what if the income is low, or what if there's a dip, or what if there's a bear market? Well, by that point, hopefully, it's the best laid plans, But the way that we're working now is the way that I'm working my system now is I'm building out those long-term portfolios as I'm going. Like as we saw in this portfolio, it is sitting at $1,900. Like before, it didn't have anything in it. It was like negligible amounts of money. And so as we're building that out, we're also continuing to buy Bitcoin. Whenever Bitcoin dips below 90,000, we throw an extra 10% that over here based off of the income that we have coming in. So if it's a payday, there's an extra 10% off of that fully invested amount that goes into the long-term portfolio. If we break $800, there's a portion of that goes over into the long-term holding portfolio. As we get above $900 and $1,000, there's going to be portions of that go straight into Bitcoin, and then a portion of it that gets reinvested back into the long-term holding portfolio on top of the fully invested amount that we already have going in there, which is over 80% of my W-2 paycheck. So when it comes to the conversation of the bear market, we did not get nearly, and I understand a lot of people are like, we hit 126,000. I'm like, if that's the peak, that was a terrible halving cycle bull run. My take on it, and this is just my take, and I don't know. What do I know? I've only been here since 2013. I don't know everything. There was a bull run that I wasn't a part of. One of them. It was an utter disappointment if 126 was like the best we got that year. The altcoins, also garbage performance. Those of us who've been here for any amount of time have never seen anything that lackluster. Am I happy it touched 126? Absolutely. We've taken away the mystique of a six-figure Bitcoin. But it wasn't a standard bull run. It wasn't like the last three or the last two. The last three, actually. I mean, even before we had altcoins, Bitcoin didn't do bull runs having cycles like that. The difference being is retail no longer controls the market. Institutions do. And we're going to have to accept that with institutions in this market, that's still manipulable. They're still able to move the market. And whenever they're in a market that they can move, they do. The issue is now we know who's on the other side of basically every sell. Every time you sell, you're selling to BlackRock. You're selling to MicroStrategy. You're selling to Strive. You're selling to Microplanet. Metaplanet. And they're not going to give you your Bitcoin back. So like when you think that you're gonna time the bottom of the market, like unless you work at one of those places, you're not. They're making the market move. So what are those of us who've been here a long time? What are the OGs doing? Well, we're still buying. We're just buying. I'm buying when I can. I'm buying off my W-2. Like as the money matriculates in, I am buying my couple of Satoshis, adding them to my stack, and I also am not selling them back to you. My focus right now is on increasing my income so that I cannot have to go to work because I couldn't buy Bitcoin, live off Bitcoin, and still continue to grow the stack of Bitcoin. It just doesn't work like that. But I can buy into high yield, use the income from high yield to purchase Bitcoin, to fund my other portfolios, and watch my growth happen that way. And staying fully invested, I'm constantly adding to that income stack. Does it fluctuate? Yes. Is it a process? Yes, just like anything else. But at the end of the day, am I getting more Bitcoin? Yes, because if I had to buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin, you're just at an impasse to where like the math doesn't math the way that it needs to for that to work for me. Now, if I was a high income earner, that'd be a different conversation. Like after a certain threshold, I mean, unless you have like kids or a family or something, if you're a single high income earner, there's no excuse. Like, yeah, then yes, I would say, yeah, I'm going to invest 80% of my paycheck and hopefully the last 20% blow that on bills. And then, not have bills. I would be able to make the life adjustments to make that work until I had a stack of Bitcoin so I could borrow against it and not have to worry about selling it. But I just don't want to be a forced seller. You don't want to be in that position. The market is also too volatile for that. And in most cases, like your check comes in on a day that Bitcoin is crashing hard and now you can't pay your bills, or you got to sell off the majority of the Bitcoin that you just got or all of it to pay your bills. Like, that's not a good look. Like with my income portfolio, when it comes in, I've got a pool of margin that I can borrow against instantaneously. It's in my bank account in 2 days. Or actually, it's not even 2 days. It's 24 hours. So I can navigate from that perspective. But the important thing is I'm building the foundation of Bitcoin. And then once we hit that $20,000 mark, that's going to unlock another leverage tool for me. So that way I can borrow Bitcoin, increase my to both increase my Bitcoin holding and increase my income. So I'm going to put most of that money in the income portfolio. But like I said, every time we do a major loan, we take 10% of that, put it in Bitcoin. Call it a day. Like, get it in there. So we'll also be levering long Bitcoin, adding to the income pool, building up more income, and then at the same time, creating more income to pay that loan back. After the loan's paid, we still have the income portfolio. Loans paid back. Run it again. Levering long Bitcoin. Building up the portfolio. Now, if Bitcoin does what it's supposed to do, it's also growing in value. So when I'm taking that loan out 12 months later, Bitcoin's worth more. That's also shrinking the loan, but I'm also paying the loan back in dollars. Dollars are going to be, it's not necessarily that Bitcoin's worth more, as dollars are worth less. So I'm every time I crank that flywheel, I'm getting dollars that I'm going to pay back a loan over 12 months, 10 to 12 months, that are going to be worth less than when I took them out. When I took them out, I put them into an income machine that produces dollars. I'm going to be doing the poor man's version of what MicroStrategy is doing with Bitcoin. And that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. Do I think it was a bear market? I'm hoping, because if that was it, then like this is going to be weird. But like, if that was the bull run and that's what we're going to have from now on, and we're only going to drop 30%, that also could be a dynamic. I can work with that. If we're going to have a little pop off every year, a little run up once the funds start buying back in, and then as the fund cycle closes down at the end of the year where they lock in profits so that they can show their shareholders how well they did, we have a 30% pullback, but then it goes up 60-70% every year, and we just do that to $1 million. I'd ride that stair step ride. Like, I'm fine with that too. I win either way. If that was the bull run, I'm not happy with it. But like, if this is the paradigm and that's just what we're going to do, we're going to run up during when all the retail, when all the institutions are buying for their clients to make their portfolios look however they want them to look. And we're going to run up 60% and have a 30% sell off at the end of the year so they can lock in profits. Guess what? I'll ride those waves and I'll get some of those 30% sell off Bitcoins. Granted, it almost looks like it's only retail that's running away from the market, thinking they know something. Just saying. So we were supposed to be going to 50 and 10K also, and here we are, floating around between 80 and 95 now. So, and the market's just getting started. We still have government money that's filtering into the markets as we speak. more debasement of the dollar. So I'm gonna raise my glass to hoping that 2025 was the bear market and that we all just passed some great psychological test to see who deserves to be here, because this really wasn't that difficult for me. Like, it's not hard to buy Bitcoin. That's a no questions asked purchase in my world, but I've been here since 2013. So for those of us who are here, yeah. And I don't own enough Bitcoin to where it's advantageous for me to sell off for profits, because A, I go to work to buy the stuff that I want, and B, things aren't going to make it so that I don't have to go to work. So like, I don't need to flex on people. It's a great life to live when you don't need to flex on people. I get nice stuff that I want, but at the end of the day, I'm not in a scenario to where I have enough Bitcoin accumulated to where I would even feel comfortable selling any of it at this point. Every decision that I've made to sell off the little bit as I was stacking has been horrible in hindsight. It was like, I should have just worked harder to get dollars to pay for that, or set up something that produced dollars to pay for that, which is where I'm at now in life. Is I just need to set up the money machine, let the money machine do what the money machine does, and then I don't have to worry about the rest of the minutia, more or less. I just have to focus on using that money wisely, not living hand to mouth, and buying as much Bitcoin as I can get my hands on, and cleaning up my consumer debt so that way I can buy more Bitcoin. Because once that's gone, all I have left to do is buy Bitcoin and build these accounts out. And that's where we're going. So until next week, I'm going to leave it at that. If you are still rocking with the boy, let's go ahead and hit that like button on our way out. If we haven't already, that's your reminder to do that. Don't forget to subscribe, especially for those of you who are new. Feel free, invite you to join the Wolf Pack, which is our community that we've got over here of like-minded individuals. We're doing non-traditional things to acquire assets, build wealth, all those things. Get out of the rat race, break free from the matrix. We don't bite. And yeah, this is kind of what we do. I'm just sharing my journey. I document my journey. We talk about it down in the comments. You guys hit me up on Instagram, every once in a while Facebook, but mostly we get a lot of Instagram. I'm also going to be starting to put stuff over on TikTok. You'll start seeing some more shorts. That's one of the things we're rolling out this year. Trying to get the content out into the algorithm. So if you're over on one of those platforms, I do check my DMs. Also, I'm working on I'm still learning how to use Blossom, but I like it so far. So we're over there as well. I post regularly over there. And yeah, we're gonna keep on rocking, rolling, making moves, and building out these portfolios. And I mean, win or lose, like it's what it is. Like, this is all the money I've got. So like, this is either going to be a spectacular cautionary tale or it's going to work out. Me personally, I always tell people, when this works out and I'm telling you what I did, the opportunity might not be there. Something to keep in mind. So this is what I'm doing. Real numbers, my real money, my real livelihood, to be honest. Also, don't forget to share the video. That's the last thing I'll ask for those of you in the Wolf Pack. Till next week, this has been another great episode of Crypto Portfolio Updates with your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero. And I'm out.
Money on my mind, yeah. Focus, got no time for games, nah. I don't play, man, I'm all about that financial literacy. Investing in my future, building generational wealth. Dollar bills, they be calling my name, but I ain't chasing fame, I'm chasing change. Learn the game, now I'm playing it smart. Putting my money to work, it's an art. I'm stacking paper, building my own empire. No more living check to check, I'm getting higher. Investing in stocks, real estate, and more. Gotta secure the bag, that's what I came for.